Everybody get up, no need to cram now. We got a real jam going down, going down, going down, going down, going down, going down. Welcome to the IntelliJAMS. Here's your chance. Learn at a
Alex.
IntelliJAMS.
We are back.
IntelliJAMS.
We're jamming.
We're jamming. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to jam.
Great.
This is the best part of the
Glad
week.
you have your customer hat is on. Excited to jam. What do you want to jam about today?
So I want to jam on a recent announcement. I think it kind of blew up in the social space. Shopify's partnering with OpenAI, and I wanted to jam on that. I wanted to kind of talk about our thoughts on what that means, what it means to testing, and just kind of like what it means to commerce generally.
Cool. I had a feeling this is what you were gonna say. I mean, it's broader than just Shopify. I think the announcement included this broader Agentic Commerce Protocol, or ACP. So it's Etsy, I've seen, it's Shopify, and I'm sure maybe other platforms down the road, or the ability to also like build on top of it. It's probably big. But let's think about, I mean, we spend all our time thinking about Shopify. I've like barely digested this news. It's so recent. I'm curious to get some of your thoughts, or like where your head goes.
I'm excited about this because I've seen kind of like split reactions on this, kind of like in the social sphere of like, oh, this is cool, but I don't know how much it's going to be used, versus like, oh, could I just send someone to the site? Like, hey, I asked my questions, I'm having this experience, like go here to learn more. And I'm like not really in that camp. Like I actually see this as potentially a future path for commerce. And like, we're actually just at the dawn here, because I've been trying to buy like this for a while, actually. Like I was in the market for a new bike. I was going through ChatGPT to help me figure out like, oh, based on my dimensions, based on this, like, let's have a conversation. Like I used ChatGPT like I was in a bike shop to have a conversation, and I'm not limited to the inventory that's in that shop. It is giving me all of these options across the internet, and just going to like, I don't know, the manufacturer's website, that would skip out on the ability for me to get a deal or hit a sale or hit something at like an individual bike shop across the internet. So like, I personally think this is a game changer, especially for people who are buying things like bikes, running shoes, these sorts of things where like the spec to kind of like price matters, where I can have that conversation and try to like find where I'm going to actually buy that. Yeah.
I mean, that's a super interesting use case, because bikes are a very considered purchase. They're very technical. There's like a lot of aspects to it. Maybe almost a flip side version of it, as I was thinking about, you brought up this, being redirected to the site versus buying it all in platform. And maybe for a bike, you actually, it's a single transaction. Maybe you wouldn't mind going like to the merchant site and buying it, although the chat interface being super helpful in evaluating all the options and like the pricing and things like that. But one thing that I was thinking about as you were saying this, Nikki, my wife, was using ChatGPT to help design and style a set of patio decorations for Halloween coming up. And there's going to be pumpkins, there's going to be maybe some new plants, maybe some new planters, maybe some like other decor. And so she's been looking at all sorts of different styles, and I'm sure that there's going to be 5 different vendors that she ends up purchasing from. Yep. And so that's an interesting case where it's like, okay, I have what I want. It may be coming from 5 different places. Just like go buy it for me, rather than having to go to 5 different sites, build the cart, or like whatever, check out 5 different times. It's like, hey, here's like, my saved payment information that you can actually just like place all these orders, and they come in 5 different shipments.
I love that use case too. My son just had a birthday. Same thing. Like we were trying to buy like space themed decorations, and like we ended up buying most of it on Amazon, just because like I wanted it all to come at once. Not because I thought like that was the best product or even the best price. It was just like that was the most convenient way to get I have a
everything.
theme. I want all these things. So like, I think that's a really interesting use case for it as well. And like, just in general, like the agentic experience is kind of like taking over everything, and like being able to have that conversation around this. Like you talked about the bike being a technical purchase. Like, yeah, it helps for like technical purchases like that. We just gave another example where it's like, hey, can I bring all these things together? But like, even for like things that aren't technical, like clothing and like style options, it's like, hey, I bought a new overcoat. Like, what would be the best shirt to wear underneath this? And like help have a conversation, like becomes like a style guide of sorts for this as well. So like I'm I'm bullish on agentic commerce. I think that like that the concept of being able to go back and forth and have that conversation is something that has been lost in D2C. Like you only were able to get that in retail, but this is an experience that's going to make like online feel more akin to being able to like have a conversation in the store.
So if you're a merchant, is this threatening? Is this a new opportunity? Is it a first mover advantage here where everyone is starting at the same playing field, but then you can potentially get an advantage over your competitors by moving quickly? I'm curious, like, as a merchant, should I be nervous?
Yes and no. Like it's interesting. I think that this is going to be an advantage for some brands, and I think it's going to be a disadvantage for other brands. So if
Okay.
you're a brand that has built up like a really strong website experience, like you've really sweated the details, you have strong photography, you have strong experiences across the site, someone's now saying, well, I'm actually going to sell to you before you even enter that experience. So it'd be like, I have this great storefront, but then someone's going to start selling these products like outside of the store. So like, if that's the case, it can potentially be a negative. But if you're like, I don't know, if you're a brand that's like, hey, I put all of the emphasis on the product quality, and like, hey, my site might look a certain way, but like I have strong word of mouth, I have strong like product like uptake, I'm going to be able to like speak specifically to this product. Now you might be at an advantage versus what you were before. So I think there is going to be a bit of it's going to create a shift in what's important. And I don't know if that's good or bad or different. And I don't know who's going to be impacted the most, but like this is going to shake things up.
I wonder if you've thought about the perspective of the content for a person and the way that content is consumed versus the content for an LLM, and how that content is consumed might be different, both in what is the content and like the display, the way that content is rendered. Do you think that a site might want to have a page that is strong on photography and the user experience and like understanding the product for people who are on the site, but then other pages that might only be indexed by an LLM that has a lot of depth of specifics about the fit and the sizing, and maybe if it's something technical like a bike, it's the technical specifications and the materials and what it's good for, and some of those details. And I'm curious, does this change potentially how merchants think about the information that they're putting out there, and how that information is displayed?
I think so. And I think it's because you've probably heard me say this a lot, is people buy on emotion and they rationalize with logic. So I think like even in an LLM world, like there's still space for that strong photography, for brand type marketing, like to get your messages out there, because like people will still skew in a direction if they are like emotionally charged about something. Like in my bike example, maybe I don't go to it and say, I want to look at these. I go to it and say, I want one of these three. Help me choose one. And like, how did I get to that point? It's still through marketing and branding and getting people emotionally charged. So maybe you start to see kind of like product pages evolve where there's like the above the fold experience is basically just like, I'm going to hit you with imagery, I'm going to try to make you feel a certain way. And then these pages start to get really deep with like all the other things like style books and technical specifications to try to like get all of this information associated with it, so that if I want to have the logical conversation, it's all there. But if I just land here and like I'm not coming, like I didn't shop through the LLM, but I'm just like browsing and experiencing, I have that too. So I think it's going to be like a little bit of a best of both worlds. I don't know if that ends up being a singular page or if you go the route of like, I have my merchandise storefront and I'm letting people click through to certain experiences. And then I have my layer underneath that's like all of my content that is designed for be as useful and logical as possible for the LLM.
Yeah. One thing I'm thinking a lot about as you're talking about, why do people buy, and it's that emotion and it's that experience that you might feel when wanting a product. And one of the features that we're continuing to lean heavily into is personalization. And so how do you create that relationship with your customer? How do you position your product in a way that is in a way that will resonate with your consumers? And so personalization falls into that. What's interesting is that an LLM can be infinitely personalized, right? I go to ChatGPT and it knows that I have 3 kids. It knows that I have a job as a CTO at IntelliJAMS. It knows that my wife's name is Nikki and what her preferences are. And so there's an opportunity now to be incredibly personalized. But what's interesting is that the brand is losing the control a little bit of that personalization of the messaging. And so, now as a brand, you can try and position yourself as premium, whether or not like how that positioning as premium resonates with me as a human versus how that might resonate with an AI might be different. And it's interesting to use that example. I was thinking about swag for IntelliJAMS, and I went to ChatGPT and I was thinking about, I don't know, one idea that it gave was sunglasses. And then I was like, what would be more premium options versus more like affordable options? And it started listing, you've got Ray-Bans and you've got Gooder, and not to say Gooder isn't premium. I love my Gooders, but like, I guess what I'm trying to say is the LLM is coming to a conclusion about what is premium and how to position all of these brands and how to personalize that content for me. And so it's interesting that the brand is losing that control to some degree. I wonder, there are probably other things that are related to that, though, that the brand continues to have control over. Like you mentioned prices and sales and discounts and things like that. That is how you can position yourself as premium through those kinds of things. How does that all, I'm curious to get your reaction to that and the interplay here.
Yeah, so I had a post on LinkedIn. I think this is like a really interesting time, especially when you relate it back to IntelliJAMS. Because like you were saying, like the LLM is going to create this like infinitely personal experience for someone. Now, it might not be the same experience that someone's going to get on the site, but it's infinitely personalized to what it knows about you. For so long, CRO and testing has been about that like landed experience and how do I create an experience that is like the best for the most amount of people that land on that page? How can I eke out a little bit more conversion by changing headlines, changing the order of things in the layout, changing a button color? But what about, again, in our analogy, like we moved the products outside the store, that stuff doesn't matter anymore. So like, what are you going to be testing? And like you hit on some of those is like, even in an agentic experience, there's still a price. There's still like the product still needs to be shipped. There's still potential to like run a discount or run an offer or have like stacking gifts and things that are going to happen. Like, I don't know how this all plays out in like how that gets packaged up, but like all of those levers that go beyond the page, like those are the things that are going to be the most important when this world takes off, because like that's where I'm going to be able to experiment. That's where I'm going to be able to figure out like, how can I be the most profitable in this experience? Do I set prices to have like to be viewed as more premium? Like, do I get picked up in the LLM more when I'm priced at $75 versus $50? Am I perceived a different way? Like, is the LLM going to pick up that I have a specific price and I'm discounted to a certain amount? Do I perceive that as like, oh, I don't know who this brand is, but they're discounted by 50%. Like they must not be selling. These are all things that are going to change how we perceive things in the absence of all those other things that lived on the page. But it's also going to completely change how we test and how we experiment and what's important.
Yeah. One interesting concept too is because you're in a different medium. If as a shopper, I'm now shopping in an agentic paradigm as opposed to a your site paradigm. You mentioned discounts and prices. So a lot of times, and brands don't even necessarily realize that they're doing this, those things are personalized, whether it's like bundling different products together unlocks a discount, or hitting a certain threshold unlocks a discount, and you got a welcome offer, or you came through a specific ad. So there's all sorts of these semi-personalized or unlockable discounts. I could imagine a situation where I ask the LLM, hey, can I get a discount? Is there a discount available? And obviously, we don't want to, as a society, just train that behavior. And all of a sudden, everyone's just going to ask, can you get me the best available discount? And now everyone has the best available discount. And so then that defeats the point of the discount if everyone's automatically asking for it. And maybe the LLM even knows to check it for it first. However, I wonder, and all of the merchandising for this bundle offer, the free shipping threshold, all of the economic levers that are being merchandised throughout the site get lost. You might not appreciate that, oh, I can just spend a little bit more to get free shipping in this agentic experience. And so, yeah, how do you, I think that we'll figure this out over time, and I'm excited to be part of this, but figuring out how to personalize those offers, or figure out what's the right offer or upsell, and get the agent to work not only on behalf of the shopper, but on behalf of the merchant as well, and make it sort of like both sides, a win-win situation where the merchant gets, the customer gets the best discount for them, and the merchant also is not having to give its best discount to everyone.
And I think maybe my opinion piece here is that the way that you discount and the way that you create those offers is going to change because of what you just said. If something's always 15% off, or there's a 15% off discount code that lives out there, this is going to get smart enough to always find those. That's a given. This is always optimized for the best price. It's going to find those things. So how do you create the interplay of price and additional value that is both good for you, the brand, and good for the customer?
Yeah.
I'm a runner. I buy a lot of gels. Hey, here's the price for the 30 pack. Do you want to grab a 6-month supply? You might as well grab it right now. There's an additional value. Here is value for you, Alex, but it's also valuable for me. I'm going to send this in one shipment. I'm going to get this bulk order. Or if we go back to my bike example, it's hey, the bikes are seem to be the same price across all these different brands, but these guys are going to throw in bottle cages and water bottles. Okay, that is something that's going to bring someone here, and I see that as valuable. So I think that in this world, the concept of a discount as a percentage off will start to lose more and more value. And what will gain popularity and gain value in this agentic experience is those volume discounts, the bundling strategies, all of these ways where it's not about the experience on the site. It's about the final product delivered and what that means in terms of value to you.
Yeah. I'm imagining a situation where you're evaluating, should I buy a month supply or the 6-month supply at a discount? And now all of a sudden you have your LLM assistant doing a DCF, discounted cash flow for you analysis of, do you want to put all the money up front, or what's the rate of return on this investment in my supply? And anyway, it's a funny sort of thing to think about. But yeah, that's a new age is upon us for sure, and there's going to be a lot of changes. It's exciting times.
Learn at a glance at IntelliJAMS. All right.